Hey guys, and welcome back to Regrets It, Brexit Britain, a country where we stand up for people's rights. Vladimir Putin, it seems that he has moved further into the Ukraine, and you know something, yeah, Britain and America will never put up with that type of stuff. We will not put up with any type of ethnic cleansing. Any type of war crimes. If one country decides it's going to invade another country, we are going to be there to step up and make sure that never happens. We will never have another Holocaust. We will never have another apartheid. What? Oh, God. This happens to me all the time. Israel are still committing an apartheid on the Palestinian people. Why is the world not speaking about this? We'll have to discuss that more sometime. And also, welcome back to By Any Means Necessary. Thank you so much for all your messages you sent me, and a special thanks here to everybody who signed up to my channel. I feel so blessed with so much people that have signed up, so thank you so much for that. I'll go for all your messages. I'll answer as many as I can. I will like all the messages, definite. So, it seems that Vlad has gone mad, right? And he's gone into Ukraine. But is it an invasion? No. There's not an invasion yet, because the part of the Ukraine that Vladimir Putin has taken back over, is actually part that he already had troops in already. So there was a lot of Russian activity there as it is, and it is a very disputed part of the Ukraine. Vladimir Putin will say of Russia. So he's claimed it as an independent, and he sent his troops in there on a peacekeeping mission, right? So now, right, these guys, they say, oh well, yesterday, Vlad, he gave a rambling speech. Well, he gave a speech. It was a long speech, a long-ass speech, and I really, all the time when he was speaking, I really wish that I could have spoken Russian, because that would have really helped. But the highlights that I got, right, is that Vladimir Putin, right, went right back. He went deep. When I tell you, man, he dug deep. He went. He went in. That's how he went. When you go out on a night and you say, you know what, on this night I'm gonna go in. Vladimir Putin went in, right? Because he went right back to Stalin and Vladimir Lenin to tell people, you know what, this is their fault. He didn't even bring in Boris Yeltsin. Didn't even bring in none of the leaders after that. I mean, he just went straight for the big guns, straight. Right? And he said, this is their fault, because you know what, all of these regions, right, are basically Soviet regions. So this is how he's talking. Do you know what I mean? He believes, that Ukraine, right, doesn't have a right to exist. That's what Putin believes in his mind, right? Now, the problem that we're facing, that Britain and America's facing, right, is the fact that they, right, do not have the right to tell anybody what they can and can't do, because they haven't got the moral standing, unfortunately, right? If they, because of the horrific war crimes that Britain and Britain, right, because America's quite a new country, but Britain, right, and the rest of the Europeans who went discovering, right, because of the horrendous war crimes that these people have committed, right, and we can just we can just start with the Native Americans, the slaughter, right, of millions and millions of people, Aborigines, the slaughter of millions of peoples, the Maoris, even now, right, they're finding mass graves, right, in Canada, right, and those graves, right, have been put there, right, by the Europeans who went over, right, and just murdered all the people. Right? So you see, the moral standing, right, we haven't got to be telling people what they can and can't do. We haven't got that. Now, you see, people don't understand that. See, they don't seem to understand that argument. They just say, oh, well, you know what, well, you're a Putin supporter. I'm not a Putin supporter, right? I'm not an apologist for Putin, right? But I live in a country, and I understand, right, that we have done some horrendous things throughout the world, right? And that does not give us, and that makes sure that surely tells us that we have not got the right to tell anybody what they can and can't do, right? We go thousands of miles, right, to go and kill people in their own countries, and then we brand them as terrorists in their own countries. We go thousands of miles to do that. Right, the Falkland Islands is, the Falkland Islands or the Malvinas Islands, whatever, however you want to look at it, right? But we went thousands of miles, right, to go and fight that battle for the Falkland Islands, right? What's next to Argentina, right? Someone can't, someone come over here and says, well, we're taking the Isle of Wight. You'd have a bloody fight on your hands, because we would say, no, you're stupid. Right, we've got disputed territories with in Gibraltar we've got disputed territories with Spain, right? On their islands, and no, but it belongs to us. Right? We don't have the moral standing at all, right? To tell anybody, right, what they can and can't do. Yes, somebody should be the world's policeman to make sure that people don't go around the world, right, committing horrific acts. But that's not for us to do. We sell weapons to Saudi Arabia, right? We're supporting an apartheid in Israel. We're supporting that, right? Weapons from here, right, are going over to who's Saudi Arabia? Saudi Arabia's bombing the hell out of Yemen. Weapons from here are going over to Yemen, right? But then we think that we've got the right to tell Putin, oh, you know what? He's remember all of Putin, most of whatever Russia have done in the world, yeah, it's always been in their own region. It's always been, and I've always said, it's a very Russian thing, and we shouldn't really get involved in their business, right? Because if Russia had come and decided, actually, you know what? Right, you said you're going to go into Iraq, but you know what? You're not going to do it. What would we have said? Right, even now, right, these guys are breaking out. These guys are breaking stuff out. Oh well, Russia's breaking international law. So, but you break international law all the time. When you're ready to break international law, you break international law all the time. Right? When you went into Iraq, right, you broke international law. When you went into Iraq. You want something more recent? Okay. We're going to break the law in maybe a limited and specific way. I think that was it. Just a couple of... That was what, last year, I believe? So, you see, these guys are talking, right? And then they say, oh, well, Ukraine is sovereign. Iraq was sovereign. 2 million of us marched for you not to go into Iraq. And you've still done it. Right, and then you think you've got the right to turn around, right, to people and say, well, you know what, you can't do it. You're like the fucking Americans or the Australians who think to themselves, well, you know what, we've stolen the country, but you can't come here. That's like your friend turning up at your house with a stolen car and saying to you, well, no, you can't drive it, it's mine. Okay, when the police turn up, it's yours, all right? Seriously, right? These people, right? They are loco, right? They're crazy up in their head top, right? They're stupid beyond belief, right? Listen, I'm not saying that Putin is right in what he's doing, right? Because the people of Ukraine have the right to determine their own future. They've got the right to do that. Right. But unfortunately, yeah, we haven't got the moral standing to tell someone, well, you can't do that. Because, Putin has already set off an insurrection in America. They know most of it was down to him. Right? But I think what's going to really hurt Putin, yeah, is that they've just said, you know what? The Germans have just announced, just a few minutes ago, that you know what, they're going to be stopping Nord Stream 2. Right? If this foolishness carries on, right, Nord Stream 2 is in real problems. Right? And now that's, because Putin doesn't really need, Europe to start sourcing energy from different places, from elsewhere now, because he's had a hold on that for a long time, and that holds a lot of the a lot of the the billionaires in this country who they said they're going to go after, but I'm saying, well, hold on a minute, right? What the hell has it got to do with them, right? So you're telling me, right, that when, say for example, when we went into Iraq, right, or Libya or Syria or wherever else we've bombed the hell out of in the last few years, right? When we done all of that, right? If someone had said, well, you know what, any British person, what we're going to do is any one of you we can get hold of, we're going to suit you, we're going to freeze your bank accounts, right? We're going to make sure, we're going to make sure that your life is like, you not allow your children to go to school in a different country, right? And I said, well, I'm actually not behind the actions what they're taking. But a lot of the Russian people that live over here, I mean, the reason why they're living over here, is because they want to get away from Putin. Right? That's why they're living here. Yeah, they might be rich and they might be stealing the Russian money with oil, but they still want to get their hell away from Putin. And they know over here, right? As long as they're over here and they don't make up too much noise about Putin, they can live a nice life. Right? These people want the Russians over here to start saying, well, we hate, Vladimir Putin, right? He's a bad one, right? He's not like the rest of us. We're nice people, right? Because you know what? They know, right, that they're going to get some Novichok up in their ass, right? If they start any of that nonsense, right? But they're not going to come out, right, and start saying bad things. Say, oh, well, why should they? That doesn't mean they agree with what he's doing. That doesn't mean that at all. Right? There's plenty of people over here, trust me, right? If the government over here said, you know what, we're going to reform the British Empire. There's plenty of people over here who go, so what are we waiting for? We've been waiting to rule the waves again. We've been waiting for that for years. What do you think Brexit was about? Because we're Great Britain, we rule the waves, always. There'll be plenty of people over here who will be up for that. Up for it. Trust me. Alright, so anyway, alright, let's move on to some Brexits, because I've spoken quite a lot about Putin. So Duncan Smith, has lashed out, right, at government for dragging their heels, right, over ripping up the EU rules, right, exposing the Tories, right, their fights over Brexit, because they want to find the dividends. But there are no Brexit dividends. I say, Mr. Duncan Smith, or is it Lord, or is it Sir, whatever it is, right? The baldy guy, right? The guy who looks like, remember one of the two old guys that was in the Muppets, that used to be up be upstairs in the right, in the gallery watching, right? Those two, the grumpies. That's Duncan Smith. He's one of those. Right, but I just think, what don't these guys realise yet, that Boris Johnson and the Tories and Nigel Farage, right, have done over 100 years worth of damage to this country, and these guys right, are too stupid. Are they stupid? I don't even. Something. I don't know what it is they're seeing, because from what I'm seeing the real truth of what's going on. Right, and I can tell you, Brexiters, it's a real shit show. Right, you guys have really messed up. Right, and you know why you've done that? Because you're stupid and you're racist, and that's the reason why you've done that. Right, and look where stupidity and racism has got you. I'll tell you where it's got you. Let me tell you where it's got you. Astounding effects. Astounding effects. Right. There's a lot, in Wales, right? Wales, the Welsh have said, we are, they're £1 billion down in trade in Wales, right? And Dominic Raab said, no, they're not. That's how the Tories just handle things now. They're just like, no, it's not. That's not true. But the Welsh have said, no, no, we are. We're over £1 billion down in trade. Right, there's one over 20 years ago. There was a jeans company, what they called, Dewhurst or something like that, and they closed down. But another jeans company took over and gave loads of people that jobs up there. This was 20 years ago, I think, to the date, right? And so they closed down, right? So now this jeans company, obviously, who's been going for must be just under 20 years now, or whatever, right? So now they're saying, well, you know something, yeah, in Europe now we're having a bloody hard time, right? Our trade, right, is down over 75% to the EU, down over 75%, and that he said that's about around a 1.5 million pound loss that just his company's taking. But and when they said to Dominic Raab, Wales is down over £1 billion in trade, Dominic Raab said, no, it's not. And furthermore, Dominic Raab said, did you know how important Dover is to this country? He was asking, he's asking the question now. He said, did you know? Do you realise how important it is? Dominic Raab, because you see, Dominic Raab, one thing you can always say about him, he always knows his stuff. He might get it late, but he knows his stuff, right? So there's what they call P-row foods, right? Which I think they manufacture natural foods for dogs and cats and all other animals. Well, probably not all other animals. Maybe maybe your ferrets and your hamsters and stuff like that. But anyway, right? So they manufacture foods, right, for pets, right? And they say that their trade to the EU, right, is down 86%, right, which for them has amounted to £750,000, right, that they've lost from since we've left the EU. Now you think that these, because remember these are individually owned companies by so they're not major, right? But they do good business, especially those doing good business in the EU. But that market's no longer open to them, and whose fault is that? That's the fault of you Brexiters, right? For your foolishness, right? And you see, it's you that have done this to these people. You've done this to these people, right? And every last one of you should feel ashamed of yourself, but you won't, because you know why? Racism has no shame. Anyway, guys, this is By Any Means Necessary. I'm MC John Ribbs. Gone off my time again. It was really nice to speak to you guys. Comments below.